Good morning, and thank you for joining Power Up for Success on today. I'm your host, Dr. Marcy Bryant, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you over the next several minutes. I want to thank God for this opportunity to be a blessing to so many, because many of you who are watching by television have been such a blessing to me. I get letters, I get phone calls, I get compliments, especially with the guests that we've been having on the show. And I want to thank you for your feedback, because it helps us bring to you what you need to hear that is doing a great deal to help you move forward in the path that God has called you on. Today, we're going to talk about being a blessing. I want each one of you who are listening on today to realize that you are a blessing to far more people than you are aware. Many times when we look at ourselves, we tend to think, who am I? What is it that I do that can make a difference in someone else's life? Because we see ourselves many times a lot less than who we really are. But we need to take a page out of the Bible and start looking at ourselves as how God sees us. God will take the smallest person, the youngest person. It doesn't matter what your educational background is. It doesn't matter what your nationality is, but God looks on the heart, and God wants to use you to be a blessing. God wants you to make a difference in the lives of so many others. And then God is going to help you do that. And that brings us up to our guest on today. We're going to talk to Mr. Robert McRae, and he's going to tell us about how God not only has blessed his life and given him the ability to be a blessing to others, but we're going to hear his amazing, amazing story. And I want you to understand that you have an amazing story too. And with that, we are going to bring Robert on, and we are going to start learning about his life, his journey, and how God is using him to be a blessing to so many others. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning. How you doing?
Absolutely wonderful. You don't mind if I call you Robert, do you?
No, I don't mind. I do not mind at all.
Okay, good. All right. We're going to be talking about your water line, alkaline water line, but in a moment,
Yes,
I would like you to open up by giving our viewing audience an opportunity to know who you are. Tell us who Robert is and what Robert is doing and how Robert came to be.
Okay, my name is Robert McRae, born and raised in a little city called Winston-Salem, North Carolina. By some beautiful parents, beautiful grandparents. One of the things that I do, I own a live alkaline water company, which, has been in my family for a very, very long time. The name of my company is Live Alkaline Water, LLC. Like I say, born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in a little city. Somebody asked me one day, is anything good come out of North Carolina? I said, yes, it can.
All right. Now, what was the name of that town in North Carolina?
It's called Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, yes. I've heard of Winston-Salem. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And so that's where you had your beginning, and you have a family-owned business, a business that was started by your family that you have kept going. Am I understanding that correct?
The land was owned by my family. This land has been in my family for over 450 years.
Okay.
I always tell people, when people look at me, they're looking at me thinking I'm African American. When I tell people, I say, originally I'm indigenous Native American, meaning that everybody that you call an Indian, we're the original Indians that's on this land. And we're still here. We are still here. So, like I said, it's been in my family for 450 years, born and raised here. The land is actually in Yakinville, North Carolina. But I was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay. Now, tell me about the business that God has so blessed you with and how you got involved as a young person going into adulthood, or did you wait until you were in adulthood? What's that little story, that background?
Well, I always say God has a way of guiding you, whether we realize it or not, in our life. I got into the water business for over 25 years ago, but how I got started, my grandmother used to wake us up every Saturday morning. We just had to go out and cut grass before we could watch TV, clean the room, and she gave us some work ethics. So at about around the age of 15, I helped build, had a construction site, helped build one of the first water treatment plants in Winston, in a place called Louisville, Clemens. Mm-hmm. So at that time, I was getting into the water business then, not even knowing I was dealing with water or getting into the water business. So and that's how I kind of got started. Decided I wanted to become a farmer, agriculturalist, and start growing my own food. And at that time, the water's been out here on the land all this time. So people used to ask me, what you go do? We know anybody can grow food. What else do you have to offer? I say, well, really don't have nothing else to offer until one day my great aunt told me, she said, the blood of your ancestors. And we was at a church service and she stopped it. She came in, they stopped. She said, no, y'all keep on worshiping God. I want to talk to him. So he pulled me outside and I was saying, what is wrong with this lady? I'm young. When you're young, you don't know, certain things in life. You don't know what to expect. So when she called me out, she said, the blood of your ancestors crying out for you. You're responsible for this. And I remember saying to myself, oh, no, I don't want to have nothing to do with this land and this property, because I know what happens to people when they try to go into this leadership role or when they chosen to do something. It's never easy. And that's how I ended up getting started with the water.
Okay, now I understand that this is alkaline water. Now tell us the difference between alkaline water and, let's say, non-alkaline water, and what is so significant about this line that you have come into making available for many others across this nation, across the world even.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The difference between non-alkaline water is that usually alkaline water has a pH level of a 7.3 or above. Anything above 7 becomes alkaline. Anything below a 7, like a 6.9, that's acidic. Mm-hmm. Most of the water that people are drinking, municipal sources water, even some spring waters are acidic water. They have no idea how acidic it is. So with our water that's coming, it's over 850 feet deep. We're sitting on 4 major veins across the United States. And this water is coming up through what we call a mineral rock bed. A mineral rock bed is a bed that where you get all your different vitamins, minerals, etc., that helps the body. And ours come up like that naturally. The pH on it is a 7.3, which is the same pH level as a newborn baby. So when I ask people this all the time, I say, do you know the difference between real alkaline water and manufactured alkaline water? Most of the alkaline water people get today is manufactured by either machines or chemicals that they add into it. And they'll tell you right on the bottle, they even add minerals to it for taste. And that's the difference between ours. Our water comes directly from God himself. From underground, we don't have to pump it up. We don't have to drill down. It's naturally coming up through the rock bed. And we're blessed to sit on what we call rainbow soil. And rainbow soil is where you got all the different colors of the soils of the spectrum. If you open up a bag of Skittles, you'll have all the different colors. And that's one of the reasons why we have a chart that we show people when we go out. And on this chart, this particular chart shows you the different mineral content that we actually have. Not only do we have a chart, but I always like to show people the actual bottles of the soil because they don't believe it until they see it. And this is the soil, the different color soils, which is a mineral soil. So that makes a difference. God has truly blessed us to have something unique and different from what a lot of people have.
Okay. Now, how do you test for the pH? Is there some type of equipment that you use?
You can go get a pH tester from Walmart, or you can get it from the drugstore, or we can take ours and have ours nationally tested by the national testing labs. They test the water all across the United States, and they was asking me where this water was coming from. And it got kind of hilarious because they wanted to come out. They wanted to actually come out and say, let me see this, let me see it. And we had them come out.
And the water was on this land that your family has owned for all these 400 and some plus years.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you all have had this as an inheritance, if you will. And now it's under this, it produces this alkaline water, which now, is, of course, since it's so healthy for the body, you're able to, is the manufacture the right word, to manufacture this, to drill it? How do you get the
we don't
water
drill.
from the ground? Okay, you don't drill.
We don't drill. It comes up. Yeah, it comes up naturally from the ground. So what we have done is set up catch basins, and the catch basins have tanks, and we capture the water in the tanks and put it. I got a 11,000, 12,000 gallon tank that we capture the water in. Then I got tanker trucks where I bring my tanker trucks in, and we pump it from the tank into the tanker truck.
I'd love to see that catch basin. I'd love to see this whole process, because it's kind of exciting of how the water just comes up and the catch basin gets the water and what have you. And then you say you have trucks that actually are there.
Trucks. I got
into the tanks. Oh my goodness. Yes.
I got a 10,000 gallon tanker truck and a 5,000 gallon.
That sounds great. Now, what is happening on the spectrum when people, as a rule, don't know the benefits of alkaline water, and they're constantly drinking water with a lower pH 6 down or 5 or whatever? Are they doing harm to their bodies? Because, water, we're told, is, the most healthiest thing you can drink. So if we see a clear bottle of water, but let's say that the pH is like 5 or 4, what are we doing to ourselves?
We're actually creating an acidic environment that is very unhealthy. In this particular environment, cancer survives. Diabetes can survive in it. It will actually thrive, all type of diseases in an acidic body. And that's why a lot of times people don't understand when they are sick, they don't know what's going on. But if we go back, and I'm going to give you a reminder of something. If we go back when we was coming up and we got sick on the stomach, one of the things that they gave us was what? Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer alkalines your stomach. It alkalines your stomach, and so all the pain, all the sickness go away that we had. And that's what alkaline water does for you. Real pure alkaline water does for you is it'll take an environment that was acidic and change it over to an environment that's become alkaline. And I hate saying, I don't hate saying it, but I can't say certain things because I don't want them to say I'm practicing medicine, but it takes away your sickness. Any ailment that you had, it takes it away. And that's the power of God. So that's why it's important to get. That's the reason why it's important to get pure alkaline water, real alkaline water, not manufactured alkaline water, not stuff that they're making and telling you it's alkaline, or taking acidic water, which is another thing they do. They take acidic water, alkaline for 30 days, and in the next 30 days you're drinking it, and then it goes back to acidic water, which makes it worse. My goodness,
hold that thought right there, because we want to talk about this a little bit more. Right now, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come right back.
Prayer is our pipeline to God. And let's face it, we all need prayer from time to time. If you are standing in need of prayer, please contact us through our prayer line 909-318-7015. We have 24/7 prayer warriors available for you, so you can call at any time. God wants to hear from you. He wants to meet your need today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been talking with Robert McRae, who has been telling us this amazing, amazing story about alkaline water and the benefits that we get from God's natural water, one that has not been tainted with a lot of chemicals and things that are detriment ultimately to our health in some way, shape, or form. What we're going to do is get a little bit more information about the the alkaline water and how it's good for us, and not only how it's good for us, but how we as a consumer can go into a supermarket or any, corner store for that matter, read the labels and kind of determine what's a good water to buy and what's and what's better to leave on the shelf. With that, take it away, Robert, for us.
Well, you definitely can go in and look at the labels, and on the labels, most of them would say from a municipal source of water, or they would say, reverse osmosis, which is very dangerous because that takes the oxygen out of your body. So yeah, you can go in and read the label. Most of the water that we see, if we really look at it, they put salt in it, which could be bad for the system of the body. It shocks the body. They add different chemicals, which creates an arsenic environment in the water, which they don't explain to most people. And that's why a lot of people, like I said, are still sick and don't know why they're sick. A lot of times it's what we consume in our mouth that makes us sick.
My goodness.
So of course, going into the store, like I said, read the bottles very carefully. They'll tell you whether it was manufactured, or even when you see something say natural spring water, they manipulate it sometimes by using that word natural. We got to be careful about that too. Okay. And so yes, reading the label is important.
All right. Now, what is on the label of the brand that your company produces or gets from the ground and supplies to stores?
If you read the label, it says 100%. Oh, you can see the contents of the label. You can see what certain minerals in there, like calcium, zinc, that's in there, magnesium that's on the label. It tells you 7.3 on the label. From a 7.3, it'll go to an 8.0. Because there's a difference between alkalinity and pH. People don't understand that either. So all this is on the label. It explains how to drink the water on the label, preferably cold. Because I like my water cold. Most people like to drink at room temperature, which they don't know that naturally when water comes from underground, it comes from underground ice cold.
Oh, that's good to know. I know I like ice cold water myself. Tell me the different not brands, but I guess it looks like a different bottle of water that you have up there, that they're not exactly the same. Tell the difference between, is one flavored or one clear? Just kind of give us
Well, this is the water. Yeah, this is the water itself right here. I actually got it in a 12-ounce bottle also. Right here, just for samples. And this right here is actually our line of juices that came out that started actually this week, started Monday. We have a line of alkaline juice that we do now with the company. So that's doing pretty well.
Doing pretty well. Okay, where do we find your water? What stores carry it?
You can go upstate, New Jersey, the bagel shops, they carry it up there. Some Walmarts in Florida carry it. Down here in Winston-Salem, you got the Compare Foods. You got certain food lines carry it. So it's different outlets. Cutter's Grocers, they carry our water. In Atlanta, Georgia, like I say, you got a couple of Walmarts in Atlanta, Georgia now that's picking the water up. They carry the water.
I see. So you do have a whole marketing distribution plan to get your water out there so that it's available to people all across the nation.
Yes, ma'am. Not only do we have a marketing distribution plan, but you yourself can also become a distributor of the water. So that gives you opportunity to make. That gives you opportunity to make an income. And so I had quite a few people. I got about 30 different distributors right now that's doing very well with this water. So they're taking care of their families. They're able to create other jobs.
Is it sold online at all?
Yes, you can go Amazon. You can go Amazon. The water is sold on Amazon. Yes, you can go Amazon. The water's on Amazon. Or you can go to our Instagram page, Official Live Alkaline Water Instagram page, or you can go to livealkalinewaterllc.org. and order from that page, from the website also.
All right. And so for individuals who are interested in getting the water They have all these avenues whereby they can get it, sample it, and like it.
Yes,
So to become a distributor of the water, while without, using this time to go into specific details, tell them how they would get in, how they would contact you, or what the overall process. As I said, you don't have to be totally specific because they're going to contact you with the information that's up on the screen, but at least give them an overview of distributorship, and what's involved, so they'll know if they have the time in order to do it.
Well, yes, ma'am. The way they can get in touch with us or become a distributor, they can go to our official Instagram page and contact us through Messenger on there, and we will definitely respond back very quickly. To become a distributor, yes, we have a certain amount because you got different distributorships. You got regional and you got national that they can do. And it's a certain price that we have set for that, and we can explain that once they contact us, we contact them back.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's how they can get in touch with us.
All right. That's very good. Now, do you ever host any type of in-person seminars or teachings or trainings with regard to this line of water that you all have? Do you ever do anything like that?
Every so often we'll do a seminar or a training, or have some type of class that we have set up. And I just have to, once I get a number of your information or email, we'll send that out to everybody that's interested in doing that.
Well,
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to make sure you have my email, because I would certainly like to get some information about that. And so whenever you're having some type of training or talk about that, I would certainly like to be in on that.
Yes, ma'am.
I want now to get you to, are you in partnership with any of your family members, or is this a venture that you kind of went out and decided that you were going to do and grow and hire employees on your own? Or is it a group, a family thing where different ones have different roles?
No, it's just me. God chose me to do it, so I went on this individually. As a family, I try to get family involved, but if they don't want to do it, you can't force it. So as for me, so I started doing it, and now as they seen it growing, people get very, very interested in it for their own reasons. But it's just me. There's no partnership.
It's just you. Okay. Now, was it a grandmother or an aunt that I hear you say she was aside, she needed to talk to you alone, and she was letting you know?
It was my great aunt.
It was your great aunt.
It was my great aunt that pulled me out of the church and brought me out to the side of the church, because at the family church, you can see the land. And she brought me out, and she pointed, and that's when she explained to me my road that God was calling, and the blood of my ancestors was crying out for me.
I see. And so you, after hearing her voice, and she's letting you know that it was calling you, and what made you decide to answer the call, and how did you know that how to make this take off? That's what I'm going to, because someone out there is listening right now saying, okay, I've got this dream, this idea, or I know I'm supposed to do this, but, I don't know how to get it started. How did you get this started?
Well, I ran for 3 years. I decided I didn't want, once she told me that, my great aunt told me that, I ran. I moved almost to the Virginia line, North Carolina, Virginia line. And I said, I'm not going back to North Carolina. I'm going to leave that alone. But the income side acting crazy. And I was doing very well on because I had a farm up that way doing very well. And so as the income side acting crazy, I ended up losing the house that I was in. So I had to come back to North Carolina. But I made a vow. I said, I can go back to North Carolina. And I was talking to God. God, I'll go back to North Carolina, but I'm not going back to that land. But when God has a plan, that plan go work, willingly or unwillingly. So once I realized, that God was letting me know it's time to move, I went on ahead. I kind of did it reluctantly at first, kind of like, I don't want to come out here and do this. It's too much work. Cleaning up is a whole lot of work, getting stuff in order. So eventually I started doing it. And as the more I did it, the more I began to like what I was doing. And I understood, in the long run, what this water was going to do for our people.
Isn't that wonderful?
And that's kind of how it went.
Well, I am certainly glad that you stuck with it, because this is something that is very necessary for all people. Everyone needs to have access to pure and clean water. And I'm glad to know that you were there. And I'm very serious about getting information. And it's going to make me look at the bottles of water that I have at home right now. And I'm going to see what's on those labels, because I plan to get me some of this live water. And I certainly would like more information, and I can pass it on, because I run into so many people, and understanding that there are distributorships out there, it will be a good thing to allow people to know that if their dream anywhere involves health consciousness or a direction similar to this, let them know that they too can be a blessing, just like you. And before you close your interview, though, what was the major thing, and maybe you can say it in 30 seconds or less, what is a major thing that you had to overcome to do this?
Pain. The pain of success. The pain of success. People don't understand when you're going through a growth that's painful. It's like a woman being in travail. But after she had that birth, or after that product comes out and start making a difference in people's lives, that's when the happiness and everything come in. So it's not easy all the time, but stick with it. Stick with it. It works.
With it. Not easy. Yes. You heard it from Mr. Robert McRae. It's not easy all the time, but he wants you to stick with it, because it does pay off in the end. You have his contact information. Feel free to contact him. He will be happy to help you get started on this brand new journey if you're interested. And if your journey even takes you in a direction other than distributorship for this particular brand, he still wants you to stick with it, because it will pay off. Yes. God wants you to be a blessing. So let God use you to be a blessing to so many others. So Robert, thank you for being here with us. And I look forward to having a continued association with you. With that, power up yours until next week. God bless.